There's been a few key points in my life. So I think it's a constant evolution of your soul to find out who you are and where you're going. So I can say, these are different milestones within your life that, you're transitioning into a new chapter. And that was definitely one of them, previous marriage with that one. And the one prior to that, growing up, I was in the family of 5, and my mom's a minister, as I said. My father, he was a Vietnam War veteran. And so he was dealing with a lot of post-traumatic stress issues growing up, and he was an alcoholic because he was self-medicating to take care of himself. So at 12 years old, he was going to the VA hospital, and he moved out to Houston, and he was dating this woman. She left, and he took his life, basically. So it's like traumatic moments like that when you're like, oh my gosh, like you feel like the rug has been pulled from underneath of you, and you're like, this is so unstable. What am I doing? And some people can crumble and fall, and some people can find strength within themselves to move forward because it's survival, basically. And you're in this mindset of like, oh my gosh, what do? You're missing this parent. And at 12 years old, it's like a really young age it's like when everything's like transforming in your brain and you really retain a lot of that sort of stuff. So I think I found strength in that. When you're faced with challenges, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Before that too, I was extremely, like growing up, I was super duper duper shy. Like I would not talk to anybody. I couldn't even go up to the lunch lady and talk to the lunch lady without like wanting to cry, because I was just like terrified of talking to anybody. So I was in counseling, and they used to make me do puppet shows because I'd like be completely covered, and it was just like my hand talking. So I'd still be talking to the class, and I was just like, okay, like, to get me out of my shell. So gradually, I think it was like a lot of the emotions I was going through, because there was conflict, obviously, with my mother and my father because of the issues he was dealing with growing up, the mental issues. And so after that happened, after he passed away, I was always doing really well in school, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this was like, oh my God, I got my first C. Like everything sucked. And so it was between like 6th grade and 8th grade, my mom remarried to this guy who was abusive too. So there was a fair amount of like abuse in the home as well. And I was just like, my grades were suffering. And I think by the time I was in 10th grade, I recognized like, oh my gosh, like if I don't do something, like if I don't like start focusing on my education and all this stuff, like I'm gonna be a loser, and I'm not a loser, I'm a winner. So I really focused on like trying to push myself in that respect, and was taking like AP courses in high school and developing my design/art portfolio in high school and bringing up my GPA. And I think by the time I graduated and I got myself out of that environment, because there's a certain level of toxicity in it from what I was going through, I started to realize who I was. So this is like the first round. And I started getting confident, and I started socializing with my peers, whatever. And I get involved in, like I went to school for French. I majored in French. I majored in fashion design. I minored in international studies, and then I put myself in the Honors Academy. That was the first challenge. I think by the time I got into college, I came out of my shell again. Because it's like, you know what, you're always going through these challenges in your life, and you're faced with something, and you can become stronger out of that. It's just the way, it's a mindset. You can choose to be weak, you can choose to be strong. And it's also about making good choices too when you go into something. Like, have a sense of self-worth. Don't put yourself in situations that could potentially be harmful to you, whether it's a relationship or, I don't know, your peers or whatnot.
Thank you for watching A Wise Way. Subscribe to stay updated, share to pass the knowledge, or view our other videos on the left.